Welcome to the Thunder and Lightning Show. Today I'm here with Brett the Fog and Ryan the Retrograde, and we're going to talk a little bit about Cardinal Zen's recent visit to the Vatican. So, would you want to give us the rundown, Brett, on what happened with Cardinal Zen and, the result of that?
Well, it's horribly pathetic. Cardinal Zen went to the Vatican to meet Pope Francis. Pope Francis was busy, too busy to meet with Cardinal Zen. He was there for 4 days. He's 88, and he had to go back to Hong Kong to be with his people. But I don't think Cardinal Zen should feel too upset, because he didn't have time to meet with Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State of the United States of America, either. Meanwhile, in China, of course, we're coming closer to the magic date of October 22nd. That is when the 2-year provisional agreement between the Vatican and the CCP expires, but as we know, and as they have assured us, the new one will start then as well. When the money transfer will happen is kind of a secret and up in the air, but they have reshuffled the Vatican Bank, so maybe they did, and they got rid of Perelman, the guy who negotiated this deal. So maybe he wanted too much. I don't know. That's just a crazy aspersion. I can't say. But meanwhile, we did get a fine report on what they actually got. One bishop. There are like 72 bishops that are waiting to be filled. Bishoprics that are waiting to be filled. They filled one in 2 years. That's what this has brought. That's what they're advertising. Yeah, we got to do this to get the church ready. But they have fewer underground bishops, so the persecution of the underground bishops continue. And when I say persecution, I do mean exhausting the eagle, the 1,000-watt lights in the eyes, banging the gong on the ears, and that's what they did to the guy who outed the fact that they tortured the other priest the same way, so he got the same treatment. They are still going into churches, tearing down crosses, taking out statues, and putting in portraits of Chairman Xi. So it's all great. They have rewritten the Bible. They have rewritten the which is it? The parable of the. It wasn't the parable.
The woman caught in adultery.
Yeah, the woman caught in adultery. They had Jesus stone her. So that was great. So it's all happening. It's all horrific, and Pope Francis couldn't be more pleased. And he has still said zero about anything in China about any persecution, which goes on continuously and worse and worse. Now, poor Cardinal Zen, he was given an opportunity to opine on, Reason and Theology?
Yeah, he was on the Reason and Theology show, and I told you guys about it, and I said, this is going to be really interesting. Do you have any questions? Because I'm a patron for Reason and Theology. So I said, hey, do you have any questions that I could ask him? And I mean, the one that I came up with, which I thought was the most serious and hard-hitting, was, my question is this. You as a bishop, Cardinal Zen, have sworn an oath through the sacrament of holy orders to give your people the faith and to protect them, to shepherd them as a shepherd. They are your flock. That is your number one duty, according to the sacrament of holy orders. So when you get to a situation where that conflicts with the idea of holy obedience to the Holy Father, to the Pope, and to the Roman congregations and whatever, namely the edict that says sell out the church, step down, turn over the keys to the Communist Party, when those two things are in conflict, which are you going to choose? The one that has to do with man as the end and the human authority, or is it the one that has to do with your oath to Almighty God when you became a bishop that says, I will teach these people the faith, even into the shedding of my blood? The man's a cardinal. He's got an outfit that's like the color of John's shirt. It's red. He has sworn an oath to be ready to shed his blood for the faith. Now, but you get to a point where, again, okay, he's 88 years old. I don't expect him to be St. Paul or whatever, but look, you're a cardinal, and at some point in time you need to leave behind this, well, the Pope is the Holy Father, well, I have to obey, well, what can I do? the answer is you die a martyr. That's what you're called to do according to the four Gospels and the epistles of the New Testament, is that we have to obey God rather than men. And if you really say what you believe, that the Chinese have been turned over to the wolves and this is a rotten deal, then you need to oppose this deal to the shedding of your blood. And you need to even perhaps denounce Pope Francis and say that he himself has turned over, opened up the sheepfold and let the wolves in. You have to stop him then. If that's true, you have to resist. But I listened to the interview, and I was disappointed. All I got was Vatican II platitudes, and he told a sob story about how bad things are in China. I agree. They are bad. He talked about how great Benedict was. He did some good things with the China. Okay, I agree. But then you're going to let Pope Francis and Cardinal Parolin ruin the whole thing and make a rotten deal with the Chinese. You're basically Chinese agents. And he doesn't have any answer to that question, like, what are you going to do? Well, there's nothing I can do. Oh, it's not up to me. I'm just going to go suffer. Remember how he said, I'm going to go suffer and you won't hear me say anything again. And that was months ago. And here he was just on an interview with Reason and Theology.
And he said it again this past week.
So much with, I'm just going to... It reminded me...
Benedict?
Yeah. No offense to this, but it was like the whinings of a teenage girl who was in her bedroom. Nobody likes me. They're being so mean to me on Facebook and Instagram. Oh, that's what it reminded me. So I mean, nothing. I don't judge Cardinal Zen as person, but I am judging these actions, and they don't seem to be in conformity with his role as a bishop, as a cardinal of the Catholic Church. Sorry, I don't see it. And to me, it seems like that this is the story of the Vatican II bishop, that they take all the oaths in the world to keep the faith and not change anything, hand on the gospel, obey canon law. And then as soon as the going gets tough, they hide behind, well, the Pope, he told me, my Cardinals, Parolin, oh. They just absolve themselves of any responsibility, and they just hide behind the idea that it's my superiors. Okay, that does not work. You cannot obey an illegal, illicit, unchristian commandment from, I don't care if it comes from a superior. I don't care. You cannot obey it. And so if Cardinal Zen, if he believes that this deal is rotten and it's harming the faithful of China, then he needs to resist this deal, and he needs to personally become an underground bishop. He needs to go in there and consecrate underground bishops for the underground Catholic Church to keep the thing going and resist this communist takeover official Catholic Church in China.
That would be awesome if he did that. And I do want to mention, I forgot to mention, a man that I've mentioned before, Bishop Vincent Guo Jin. Now, we know that Cardinal Zen said, oh, I'm going to go away, and you won't hear from me anymore for the second time. Now, Bishop Vincent, the last we met Bishop Vincent, he was living... He was thrown out of his bishop's residence. He was living in a 3-story walk-up under constant electronic surveillance. You can go on YouTube and see him blessing the people who were surveilling him because he's a real mensch. And they have put enormous pressure on him, and now he has announced, he was allowed to announce for the last time, that he has retired from public life. He will no longer say Mass in public. The only thing he will do is hear private confessions, but you won't be hearing from him anymore. And he said it's because he's so unworthy. Well, I wish to God we were all as worthy as he is. He is a great man. He is a true soldier for Christ, and we should pray for him. That's all I want to mention about him. But he's awesome, and he's been silenced.
And one interesting point I had on the Reason and Theology interview, which I will link below, is that anytime Cardinal Zen was asked about Pope Francis, like, why do you think Pope Francis has this horrible deal in place? He said, well, I don't really understand his reasoning. Oh, but Cardinal Parolin, he's corrupt. He's just doing this disastrous deal with the Chinese people. And I was thinking, okay, well, is Cardinal Parolin really the Pope? Because according to Cardinal
we
Zen,
just found out he isn't.
Well, according to Cardinal Zen, Pope Francis, like Cardinal Parolin, has everything to do with the deal. But I know that Pope Francis at any time could say, okay, this is a rotten deal and we're not doing it anymore. We're just going to void the deal.
This is the mechanism. You see this in the Vatican II Church. It's the way they cope with a bad pope, is they blame it on the evil entourage. Oh, Pope Francis is so good. We heard this. Let's go back. Paul VI is a really good pope. He
But-
just didn't know what was in the Novus Ordo. He doesn't know what the Cardinal Velo is doing and how he's persecuting the true Mass and allowing all these heresies. He's just doesn't know. JP2, he doesn't know there's the evil entourage, and he doesn't know what they're teaching in the seminaries and this homosexualist bishop and what's going to... Then you go to now Francis. He's got an evil entourage. You know, this whole thing is so silly. When we know how Francis is involved in every meticulous detail where he's telling Mueller, fire these guys, I don't like them, and they're just underlings. He's that micromanaging when it comes out. Of course he knows what's going on with Parolin and this Chinese deal. It's absurd to say that he doesn't know what's going on. So again, that's just that's a criticism, and you see this all the time in the Vatican II hierarchy and the Vatican II sect about this. The Pope really doesn't know stuff. Come on.
And it goes to demonstrate that, like when I talk about, we are the laity, we will not be silent. We do have a voice in the church, but if you look at what kind of voice Cardinal Zen has in the church, on the Francis Church, Cardinal Zen has a very limited voice. He's a cardinal. So as lay people, what kind of voice do we have? Not much. But on this platform, we are the laity and we will not be silent. And I will use this limited platform to continue to speak out against the corruption and the horrible Chinese deal. Thank you so much for watching, and everyone have a great day.
Peace.